Hey guys, what's up? Just adjusting the camera here a bit. Oh, I already got one like, but there's 0 viewers in here. That's a mystery. Is this gray hair? Yeah, I think that might be. I do have quite a bit of gray hairs for my age, especially. But how's it going, guys? It's only 3 people. So yeah, I'm finally going to talk about that global migration pact thing. You know, I don't know. I just been, a lot of other people have spoken about it. I recommend probably you guys go check out Stefan Molyneux's version on it as well, because he did a really good take on it, and you know, really in depth and in detail. So yeah, I definitely check that out. But you know, I wanted to read what it's going to be. And also there's, you know, there's something in the past from like the 1995 around, they did a study, replacement migration. Is it a solution to declining or aging populations? And it's like, you know, I'll go through that study because it's pretty interesting. Sleeping off Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, I would imagine, you know, that's, but we already had our Thanksgiving in Canada a while ago. You guys have yours later, but I'm assuming, you know, but you're American anyways, so it's not like you signed up for the, or I don't know if you're American, but signed up for the UN Global Migration Pact, right? That's only cucked countries like Canada and all the other European countries. But, you know, I think I'll start probably reading it, or, you know, maybe wait a little bit longer. There's also a story in Germany. I don't know if you guys heard about it. There's a woman who could face prosecution for posting pictures of her daughter's dark-skinned sex attacker on Facebook. So she's probably going to face prosecution because you're not allowed to share people's pictures in Germany, even if they sexually assaulted your kids. So it's like, you know, it's like, what the fuck? You know, that's just another thing with the global migration pact that's going to increase, right? And then they're going to have their European army that they can have and enforce whatever they want on countries that don't want to listen, right? That's what I think they want the European Union for. But, you know, so hopefully if there's any Americans, you know, you guys did have a good Thanksgiving. But, you know, I guess I'll start reading a little bit of the migration pact here. But, you know, for the first time on 19th September, you know, whatever, oh, this is all a bunch of bullshit. But what they want to do is, these are all the bullet points here. It's like, protect the safety, dignity, and human rights and fundamental freedoms of all migrants, regardless of their migratory status and at all times. So, you know, all those migrants coming across the border into America, you're going to have to dignity in human rights and fundamental freedoms of all, like, what is that? Like, protect the safety. What is the dignity, what human rights, what rights do they have that the citizens of America don't have, right? I have a feeling they're going to be the exact same rights that we have, other than maybe voting, right? But that's bullshit. You know, if you come into a country illegally, like what is happening at the border in Canada right now, you should get absolutely nothing. You need to be kicked out of the fucking country. And, you know, they just want to make it so, you know, we can't do anything about being replaced. Like, okay, well, you know, migration is a right since when? Like, this is all it's doing. It's just making it a right. It's like, now you can pretty much enter any country you want, as long as you want to work for cheap, and it's okay. But, you know, let's check out the chat. We're sleeping it off. We didn't sign up for most of this shit. Yeah, you're completely right. We didn't sign up for any of this stuff. You know, if Canadians could vote right now on immigration, it would be reduced, right? It's like, you know, what kind of democracy is this if the majority of our wishes are not being answered? They're like, no, we know better. We know better for you. We know, I know you guys want less migration shit, and you don't want your culture attacked and threatened even more. But you know, don't worry, we know best for you. So what happened to the requirements for asylum, right? Yeah, exactly. It's, you know, pretty much, this is just another way to get into the country without going through the long legal process. Like, let's just call it what it is. Like, same with the refugee program, right? A lot of these people are coached to say they're refugees, to say they're escaping this, escaping that, just so they can get asylum, which is fucking bullshit. And it's like, no, get the fuck out. Anybody who is a refugee should not have a pathway to citizenship whatsoever. Hey, Claude. Hey, Jerry, Tommy, Mick Canuck, and Fizz Zabo. So what happened? Trudeau's signing it as Canada spearheading the compact. Illegals will be allowed to vote. Yeah, exactly. So what is he doing? He's going to make it so you can vouch for somebody to vote. Like, what kind of nonsense is that? Like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Obviously, people are going to fucking abuse this. And he's making it so people who haven't lived in the country for like decades can vote. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? You know, because they know what they're doing. They know the majority of those people are going to vote left. They're going to vote for the Liberals. So it's like, you know, it's disgusting what they're doing and how they're just doing it openly, right? It's like they're literally bringing in people for voters, because all the refugees that they're bringing in, all the illegals that are coming in right now across the border, they have no intention of sending them back. Those people have no intention of leaving, and they're all having every day they're staying here, it's going towards them becoming a full citizen, because Trudeau recently changed that too. So before it didn't, but now it's pretty much anybody who's here, doesn't matter how, you're on your path to becoming a citizen. And obviously, you know, this is bullshit. Like, they're just stacking the vote, and then on top of that, with the recent budget, like he already increased the CBC's budget by more than $1 billion, and now he's going to give $600 million to all these other media industries. It's like, man, you're stacking it so hard. It's like, just openly, everybody's just okay with it. And, you know, that's why I hate fucking democracy the way it is, especially because people, they just want to win. Like, a lot of liberals, they see this and they're just like, well, oh, well, that just means that my party is going to win forever. So this is great. You know, who cares? Like, look at America, all those like Democrats winning after finding all of these ballots. Like, obviously, a lot of liberals think that's shady, but they don't give a shit. They're like, well, hey, we won. We're winning. Yes, this is great. But no need for asylum standards when it's a right. Yeah, exactly, right? It's insane. Every Trudeau is a douche. You can vote. Wanting jobs and benefits is not legit reason for asylum. You know, we have poor people here wanting jobs, safe communities, no drug wars. And, you know, like, that's, I just seen a stream with Kelly Day and BC Barbie. You know, check it out. Check out Kelly Day's channel. I'll put a link in the description below after the stream's done. And same with BC Barbie. But they're talking about how they have experienced a healthcare system, and how, like, BC Barbie, she's working, right? She has this illness, like CPRC, I think it's called, and she's working, and she's living in like a fucking mobile home, pretty much, or like a RV, and she's getting no help. She has to pay for her own dental, you know, $2,000 a year. And yet there's these illegal immigrants coming across, or illegal aliens coming across the border, and they're having people buy hotel rooms for them, pay for their dental. The refugees, like, it's crazy. If in our society, if you do things bad, you get rewarded. If you try to do things right, you get punished, right? You try to work hard, you try to do things right, you're gonna get treated like shit. But if you have like 15 kids and with some random dude and whatnot, we're gonna give you a home, we're gonna give you $600-700 per kid because of the child tax thing. You know, it's like we're rewarding bad behavior. Like, that is what is going on, and it's insanity. But let's read a little bit more of this. And then the second part, support countries rescuing, receiving, and hosting large numbers of refugees and migrants. So this is give billions and billions more dollars to Turkey, right? And countries like Turkey, countries like in the Middle East that are taking in these people, they want this, right? They want to take in these people, because what they're going to do is they're going to get then a bunch of money from Western countries. They're going to spend the bare minimum on the refugees that are in their countries, and they're going to keep the rest for themselves, and they're going to spend it on, putting Islam in different countries and funding their military and all this shit. Like that's all we're doing when we're giving money to these Middle Eastern countries that are holding all the migrants. Because a lot of leftists will be like, oh, but all the refugees are in Turkey and in this and that. Yeah, but they're also getting billions and billions and billions of fucking dollars to do this, right? They don't give a shit. No, I work all year round, actually. I work in the fucking winter time. So it's like, you got refugees being put up in nice warm hotels while I'm working in like -30 fucking temperatures, working on the fucking roof, setting up a ladder. It's all fucking icy and all this shit. Like I do flat roofing, right? But it's like, it's difficult fucking work. You're outside all fucking day, all year round. And it's like, then you got all these people coming, sucking off the system, while people like, BC Barbie and whatnot, they're like the working poor, trying their best to pay to be a contributing member of society. But, as we see, those people get stepped on, and everybody else gets, benefits and rewarded, right? And we wonder why our society is going to shit. We wonder why, there's so much degeneracy right now. It's because we're funding it, because we're giving money for it. We want people to be that way, apparently. But, so what was the next part? Combat xenophobia, racism, and discrimination towards all migrants. Okay, right? It's like, okay. No. What? We already have laws and shit against that. So what is this? So it's going to be like just funding a bunch of new bureaucracies and police forces to go and censor people on the internet or some shit. Combat xenophobia, racism, discrimination towards all migrants. So that's going to be like what's going on in Germany right now, what's going on in Europe, all over the place, all over the world, where it's like, if you say something about a migrant online, you're going to be like fucking put in jail. Just like I said, there's a German woman who is facing prosecution because she posted a video of a black dude who sexually assaulted her young girl on Facebook. Now the police are looking for her to try to put her in fucking prison, because they're like, oh, you're not supposed to spread pictures without people's consent. This is not the way to do it. Yada, yada, yada. It's like, you got to be kidding me, right? People do that all the time in America, in Canada. Like, look at this evil racist person. They spread it all over the place. It gets like viral. That person loses their job. Their kids get harassed. They get doxxed. They get death threats. Like, so it's like, okay, but in Germany, if you share a migrant's picture that sexually assaulted your kid to try to find them, oh, that's bad. No. The police don't want pictures being shared because we want our job to be harder. We want it more difficult to find these people, because that's apparently what the fuck they want, right? It's total fucking insanity. It's just going to get worse with bringing in more people of, these fucking cultures. But develop through a state-led process, non-binding principles and voluntary guidelines on the treatment of migrants in vulnerable situations, and strengthen global governance of migration, including by bringing in IMO into UN family and through development, global compact, safety and migration. So yeah, they're going to be bringing in a bunch of other organizations to help them do migration better, right? So it's like, this is a fucking joke. This is such a joke. It's like, these people have been looking for excuses to replace us for a long fucking time. Like this is just what it is, right? Like, first of all, you guys are the ones that created this mess. Okay, we're funneling, we're sending a bunch of foreign aid into countries and helping these people overpopulate as well. So it's like these people are knowingly creating this problem by going in and invading countries, creating refugee crises. And they're like, oh, well, we have to take them in and everybody has to take their fair share. Like Merkel's like, well, you have to take people. You have to take people. If you don't, we're going to make the European army and we're going to use it to force you to take people. Like, that's why I think they essentially want to create it, right? It's like just so they can impose their will and their, what they want to do on other people. Because, the EU, I think, is like a test for complete globalization on the planet, but we see the EU, how it's already starting to fail, to crack, so this is, in my opinion, a good sign for the future that, it's, if the EU can't succeed, then globalism on a large scale is for sure not going to succeed. And there's my cat again, this video, just like the last video, he's fucking around. He's probably going to jump on the back of my seat here. Let me check out the chat right now. What are you guys doing? Kelly's a sweetheart. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, no, I'm not seasonal. I already answered that. You roof too, Jerry? Yeah, it's it's all right. You get paid pretty good. It's not terrible. Work training that's given to them to replace Americans. Yeah, in America, Keisha, you said that. But yeah, there's something. There's a video. Okay. Do I still have this up? It's like there's Trudeau. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the chat. I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna try. But this is from like 2017, and he's like, oh, he's like telling businesses to hire new refugees and this and that. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, man. I'm like, what a piece of shit. Like, there's Canadians who need jobs, and you're like, oh, businesses, please hire these refugees. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but let's see here. See if you can play it, although it's kind of
At every step,
let me see.
Canada's business community was there.
Can you guys hear this?
At the corporate level, Canadian businesses donated tens of millions of dollars to relief.
Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Still living in refugee camps, and millions more to other settlement, training, and education programs to help new arrivals to Canada. Our small business community stepped up too, raising funds, collecting winter clothing, providing meeting spaces for private sponsor meetings, and so much more. From one end of the country to the other, businesses have done what they can, leading in important, dignified, and touching ways. In Surrey, British Columbia, the owner of a grocery store chain who immigrated to Canada from Punjab as a child delivered free baskets of food to Syrian refugees as they arrived in honor of a kind neighbor who once did the same for his own family. In Fredericton, New Brunswick, a local modular home manufacturer has offered training and employment to Syrian refugees so that they can fulfill their commitment to build homes for Canada's First Nation communities.
Oh my God.
Workers integrate, the business accommodates prayer schedules and other needs. But Canadians are not just engaged at home.
Accommodates prayer schedules and other needs. Oh, great.
Have done amazing work to make it easier for vulnerable migrants to find a place to live.
And these businesses, it's like Trudeau is endorsing all of these businesses too. I remember like Trump said something about Fox News a little while ago. Like, oh, he's endorsing Fox News. Look at this. He's endorsing all of these different businesses that are doing what he wants. And it's like, that's unfair as well. It's like, oh, thank you for hiring only refugees and training them.
To help set up a reception center to offer shelter for 1,500 refugees arriving by sea.
See, these businesses are pieces of shit, right? Because they're like, oh, we're helping, we're donating. It's like, no. You just want cheap labor. So it's like, it's a cheap donation for you. It's like a lot of them are donating money into like all these refugee packs and all this stuff to bring people over because that's just cheap labor for them. It's an investment. It's an investment because they don't want to pay us more money, what we deserve. Like, look at Brexit right away. When you look at the wages that are going up right now because there's like less immigration, and they're like, businesses are like, please, we need more workers. We're dying. The same with here. And like, we need more workers. It's like, no, fuck you. Just pay us more money. You know, if you don't like living in Canada, if you don't like running a business in Canada and having to pay its fucking residents, go to China, okay? Go to fucking China and see how you like to live there. You're not going to like it very much. So guess what? You're going to have to pay people just a little bit fucking more. And you're not going to have your cheap supply of fucking labor. And people wonder, like, why are the wages stagnant? Why is this? Why is that? Because we keep importing people. Like, people don't understand numbers whatsoever. It's like, if you have 10 people vying for a job or working in a position of work or something, and there's, I don't know, 10 other people that can replace you, like, you have quite a bit of bargaining power, right? But if there's like 200, 300 people that now can replace you, now you're much more replaceable. Like, it's just basic common sense. So it's not mad or greedy to keep other people out. No, we are the people that had created this country to begin with, as our ancestors. So we have every right to exploit it as much as we want. Not exploit it, but just use it. And other people have no right to come to our country. And that's why the whole socialists have the whole narrative of the way we got all of our wealth through theft, is through stealing. So then people don't feel as bad when they come and take their resources, because they're like, oh, well, you know, you didn't create this wealth. It's because you stole it all from Africa. It's because you stole it from this place and this place. It's like, no. This wealth never existed before. Now it exists. So it was created, and you're coming in and you're exploiting it, right? So I don't know what the fuck. A lot of things that we have today were not in existence before. Okay, like computers, phones, all that. Like this is all new shit. Like it's not fucking old. But let me read a little bit of the chat here. But yeah, check out that video. It's just Trudeau just cucking to businesses, and just, you know, now he's going to pay off the media, all the media. And it's like, what the fuck? They're already majority on his side anyways, like 95%. It's like just to make sure, right? Just to make sure you guys really don't say anything about me. And it's like, obviously, and he gets to pick and choose who gets the funding. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? But because democracies and shit, and it's always like our team versus their team, that nobody on the left is going to speak up about that and be like, hey, that's bullshit. But you know for sure, if Harper was able to pick which media stations got money, the liberals would be losing their fucking mind, as they should be. But you know that, and I would be too. I'd be like, that's bullshit. But you know that people justified in their own heads, because they'll be like, oh, well, they would do the same thing in my position, so fuck them, right? It's like, no, you're just justifying your bad behavior because you're a piece of shit. But that's pretty much it. But there, I'll read a little bit more of the chat here, and I'll check out that replacement migration thing. Hey, Northern Patriot. Hey, Nibush. Matthew Todd. Drivix. This is a Jew agenda. Weren't you calling me a Jew before? Or like, I think you were really mad at French people, but I'm French. So I'm like, I don't know. You're always raging in my chat. It's kind of funny. But Peterson is a shill. He proceeded no identity politics to mainly white audience. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say Jordan Peterson is a shill because he doesn't preach identity politics to people, right? And he's against the alt-right and thinks Hitler is not good or whatever, right? Like he said some things I've disagreed with, but he has garnered a lot of social capital that he can make mistakes. He's not like, a lot of what he does promote is good. It's not bad, right? You know, he's not promoting fucking Marxism. He's not promoting you know, some fucking far out crazy ideology. A lot of it is common sense shit, you know, clean your room type thing. Like, yeah, people will laugh and whatnot, but realistically, this is one of the first steps people teach you and how to like get your life back together and stuff. It's like, you know, you take small steps, you complete things, you accomplish small goals, and you move your way up, you know, and not. But I wouldn't say he's a shill or anything like that. But realize that there is a UN Migration Compact that will be signatories to this. Means that everyone can come. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know, man. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. I'm going to try to read most of your guys' chat here, but, you know, it goes by pretty quickly. It's time to take. Or if you want to ask me a question, put AJ elicits in the chat, and I think it should highlight. Then I'll be able to see it more quickly. I am Jewish. Yeah. Nibush is Jewish. Jewish man. You're going to need to get off my site immediately. I met you in real life. I almost threw you in the oven, man. It was really, really close. I'm kidding, by the way. I'm not all right. I was kidding. Right. There's statistically evidence mass immigration lowers average weight. Yeah, there's tons of evidence. There's tons of evidence it lowers the wages. It's just common sense, right? You know, realistically, it's just common sense that increasing the labor pool will make it, like, it's just basic economics, right? Like if you have more bags of chips, right? If you have like 5 bags of chips, you can sell those 5 bags of chips for a lot of money because there's not very many. But if you have like 10,000 bags of chips of this brand, now you can sell it for cheaper. Just like if you have 10 laborers, you got to pay them a good amount of money. But if you have 10,000 laborers, cheap laborers, you don't have to pay them that much money, because they're easily replaceable. There's always going to be some asshole, some guy who can live off of less, somebody who doesn't have, like, you know, so it's generally not good, especially when it's low skilled labor. Yeah, if we're bringing in a bunch of geniuses and they're all creating businesses for everybody to work, but that's not the case, right? It's we're bringing low skilled laborers. All the refugees are going to stay. They're all going to be low skilled laborers. All the migrants that are coming into the countries are low skilled laborers, and they're going to be competing for poor people's jobs, and they're going to make poor people's lives even harder. There's going to be crime. There's going to be, like, you know, people wonder why kids don't go out and play anymore. Like there's plenty of reasons for that, I guess, but one of it has to do with multiculturalism. When the more multicultural a society gets, the less people go out and interact with the community. Like I saw an article from The Star, right? And they're like, oh, and in Toronto, 66% of people don't know their neighbors or whatnot. And they're like, oh, it's because of the internet and the rise of the internet. People don't go out and as much. But it's like, yeah, that's probably part of it. But the part they didn't mention is multiculturalism. And then probably another part of it is the government doesn't give a fuck about you, so they put like pedophiles in your fucking area without telling you, or they're just like, oh, sorry, this pedophile who just abused all these kids, oh, he only got 2 years, we're gonna put him in your community. It's like, yeah, now I don't feel like letting my kid go out and play because there's fucking pedophiles, there's fucking people, Muslims from other communities, there's this, there's that. It's like, yeah, there's gonna be no fucking social fucking unity. It's like this is not rocket science. Like, you know, people want to like put their blinders on and think, oh, we can all just live in peace and harmony with all these different communities. Like, yeah, to some extent, some people can, but largely that's not the way it's going to go down, right? But I see a couple questions. This D5Q Twitter user was talking about that. About what exactly? I'm sorry, I'm not really sure. Hey, right wingy. Hey, AJ, do you see the petition to out the Liberal government was done by Ellie's Place? It's picking up traction. No, I haven't seen that petition. You know, maybe, I don't know, send it to me. I'm on. It's so much harder. I wish I had a Twitter account. That'd be a lot easier for people to get a hold of me, but I have Gab and Minds and, you know, I guess my AJelicits@gmail.com. And then Matthew V. Todd will you sign the petition to get Alex Jones a White House press pass? Yeah, I'd sign that petition. You know, fuck Jim Acosta. He's a piece of shit. And, you know, I don't, people will be like, oh, you don't support freedom of speech. It's like, that. Fuck you. Of course I do, but he doesn't. I'm never going to defend somebody who doesn't defend freedom of speech and who actively tries to censor other people. And it's like trying to, you know, completely unperson Alex Jones and their competitors and people they don't like. And then they bitch and moan that they're not allowed to enter a press corps conference or something that they already have other reporters there to see. So, or to report on. And it's like, since when? Why is it only these people? Why do they only have a right to interview the president? Why can't, it's like, well, we have a, you know, I went to school for journalism and this and that, so I can go in and interview. And you know, the InfoWars, regardless of their audience and how much reach they have, no, you're not allowed. But this little incy-bincy fucking news agency that gets like no fucking traction whatsoever can come in and ask questions of that. It's like, you know, they're picking winners and losers. They're like, oh, okay, this company can get, traction. This company can get, you know, seen on TV, or say they have reporters at the White House or some shit, while other companies don't. Right? So, you know, it's bullshit. Fuck CNN. Jim Acosta is a retard. You know, it's good that he's gone. You know, he should be gone for longer. But, you know, and it's funny. Anything Trump does just gets turned around by some faggot judge, just like what happened with that migrant caravan, or, you know, he made it so, I don't know, you can, something about asylum, but then that Californian judge from like the Circuit 9 court ruled against it. And then, you know, he does this to Jim Acosta. They're like, oh, this is against free speech. And then, you know, no matter what he does, there's going to have some activist judge that comes right behind him to rule against it and be like, no, actually, you can't defend your borders. Actually, you can't limit immigration from this. No, you have, immigration is a right. It's like, the immigration is apparently right, and now migration is apparently right. Like, weren't people suing, you know, like, to get into America? Like, oh, like that's, you can't sue because some country rejects you. It's like, go fuck yourself. And what really angers me is that a lot of these refugees and illegal aliens that are crossing the border know that our country has laws. So when they come in, they get to sit down, they get to appeal it, they get to file for a claim, they get to like slow down the court system for all of the other people that are here while they're given work permits to go work for fucking businesses for cheap fucking labor. And then they get to go use the healthcare system, all this other shit, and potentially vote with the new system that's coming up. And it's complete insanity. Our people, our politicians are selling us dry. They're selling us down the river, right? And it's like, you know, if you say anything, you're racist. If you want to take care of Canadians above random fuckers, then you're a racist. And if that's racist, then call me one. I don't give a shit, right? But let's read a bit more of the chat here. It's legal doesn't affect upper class. Yeah, you know, right, you're right, Nibush. Immigration, mass illegal, etc., doesn't affect upper class. Affects the quite rich positively, but it fucks over everyone who's not making much money. Exactly. So, like, who has to deal with all of this huge influx of people? Yes, it's lower income people. All these rich Democrats and liberals in Canada and other countries, they'll live in gated communities so they can virtue signal all they want and say, oh, I care about these people. Oh, I care. But they don't give a shit. They have, you know, a jet that they can fly off to some other country if shit really goes down. So they don't care. They're secluded in their little area, right? And, like, you know, it's pure fucking bullshit. But hey, Saint, yeah, I'm a racist roofer. You got that right. Multiculturalism creates self-segregation. Yeah, you know, it's and you know what? That's another thing too. It's, you know, we can't even name problems anymore without it being like, oh, you're white and you're saying something about this person who happens to be non-white, so gotta be careful. You might be saying something racist. You might be offending somebody just by saying a basic fact. And that's the thing. It's like the more multicultural we get, the more people are afraid to speak. And the more multicultural we get, that is going to be the end of freedom of speech, you know, because the whole justification that they're going to be using is like, well, some speech offends people. Some speech is going to hurt this group's feelings. So we need to stop this, yada, yada, yada. So, you know, it's just going to get worse. We're going to become a more fucking left-wing, socialistic type country, right? Let me see here. I saw Anarchor in there. Shones is a target. Did hear that guy. So yeah, if anybody still has an actual question, just make sure to put my name in there, because if you know, I might miss it. Hey, BC, Barbie. Behavior. No, libertarians are not bourgeois ideologies and enshrine parasitic behavior. No, socialism is what thrives parasitic behavior, or, you know, degeneracy. Essentially, it's not capitalism. You know, that's funny. People who are like, oh, bad capitalism. You know, the only thing, the only way that socialism can work is if they take the wealth of capitalism. The thing is, right, all these globalists, they don't want pure socialism, because they're not idiots, right? They understand that, you know, the free market, this mixed economy that we do have, is how they can generate a lot of wealth, but at the same time having this type of socialism, this type of big government, then they can take a hold of that wealth and use it any way they want, right? So it's like they don't want pure socialism, they want pure capitalism, because with pure capitalism, then people will not need the government as much, right? Because you'll have competition, you'll have new industries, you'll actually have healthcare that's going to be affordable, that's going to be usable. You're going to have, like, things will just be cheaper, life will be easier, you're not going to need them. So they don't want pure capitalism either. They don't want that. So they want a mix. They want to give you some freedom. They want to make it seem, they want to make you feel like you're, but really you don't. If they want to take the home, they can take your home. If they want to take your wealth, they can take your wealth, you know? So it's, you know, and see, there's a misunderstanding of collectivism, right? Anarchor, right? You can be an individual while also wanting to take care of your group and wanting to take care of other people. See, this is like a misconception that people have. Like, I'm a pure individualist. That means that I only care about myself and I hate everybody else. It's like, you know, it's funny, right? It's like, no. Okay, you can be an individualist. You can believe in the free market and capitalism. And then with the excess money that is produced through capitalism, the excess wealth that you create, you can give it to people and you can help people. Do you really need a government to forcefully take your money and then redistribute it because you're a good person? How about you just do it voluntarily? Like, why can't you do that? Even socialists admit that capitalism produces wealth, okay? Like, you're not going to get the same wealth engine. And Nazism, National Socialism had aspects of capitalism, right? That is why it had some functionability to some extent, but you only seen it exist for a very short amount of time before that government took the wealth that was produced by the aspects of capitalism to go and kill a bunch of fucking people, right? So it's like, you know, maybe not have the mixed economy that we have now. That is the problem. You know, pure socialism is not going to work. Look at the pure socialist countries right now. Look at Cuba. Are they rich? A lot of those people, are they fat? No, they're not. They're fucking skinny. They're all slim and shit because there's not an abundance of food. There's not tons of money, tons of resource, tons of wealth being created, right? You look at these socialist countries, the ones that are pretty much pure socialistic. But then people are like, oh, look at Norway. It's like, that's not socialism. Okay, that's a mixed economy. We all have mixed economies. Okay, they're all mixed economies to different degrees. And when you're comparing countries, it's pretty bad, because you're comparing Norway with a population of what? I don't know how many millions, with America that has a population of 330 million, that has 30 million illegal aliens crossing into the border, that has thousands and thousands of migrants crossing into the border each and every year. In America, you cannot refuse service in hospitals. So guess what? All of these illegals, they all get free healthcare in America. You think it's a privatized system down there? No, they have some aspects of privatized, but generally it's not. They're like, they spend more money on people than we do, and it's not even through the the private sector. Like the Medicaid and shit in America is ridiculous. The amount of people that use emergency rooms there, like specifically illegals and shit, that increase. Like, you can't compare these two countries. Also, the resources are different. Norway has more of an energy-based economy, and it's like, how do you know that energy that they're using is still going to be the main source of energy in the future, right? You don't. So this is the problem with nationalizing energy. See, you're like, oh, we need to nationalize oil and gas and this and this. But how do you know oil and gas and these resources are going to be what you need in the future? We look at what had happened to, like, I want these pipelines and all these things built too, because they need to be built. Our resources and stuff need to get out. But our government's subsidizing our energy industries, funding them, is reducing progress now, because we're getting all this cheap labor, all this cheap oil, so we're not actually investing in other industries, right? Whereas, I'm not against the oil industry, but it shouldn't be getting subsidies, just like the green energy should not be getting subsidies, because the government doesn't know what's going to be the future resource, what's going to be the best way to invest our money, right? You look at the roads, you look at you build this huge interstate highway system to get the military across the country. You have all these massive roads, you space everything far apart, pretty much for the auto industry. It's like, we need to let the free market deal with these things, right? Because like I said, Norway and stuff like these countries, yeah, it's good right now. They have a small population, other than, like, if you look at fucking Sweden, where people used to use that as an example, other than now the massive grenade attacks and all these other rapes and stabbings and all these things now because of their multiculturalism. So it's like, yeah, it's not a good comparison to say, well, but look at Sweden, but look at Norway. It's completely different. Homogenous culture. Secondly, if you're going to make America into homogenous society, good fucking luck. But that's a homogenous culture, so people are less prone to take advantage of the welfare system as compared to a multicultural society that doesn't care about fucking over other people, that doesn't care about fucking over the old stock type of Canadians. So, there's just so many things wrong with comparisons and with people and their socialism ideas and stuff like that. Whatever, I can't be convinced. So if anybody that is more alt-right thinks they can convince me of being like a national socialist, good luck. It's not going to happen. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. So yeah, let me see here the chat. Happy, hey Linda, hey E Sharp. Hey, Kesha, we need to get back to when it wasn't serious. The Battle of Canada. It's the only reason whites are not still slaves. Yeah, exactly, right? That's why they want to replace us, right? Because we want less government. That is why they want to replace us, because they want a big government to control all of us. White people tend to want to vote, white men especially. That's why they're demonized constantly, like And that's why they're being like, you know, they go to universities constantly like propagandized and stuff, try to made into like trannies and shit. But like, you know, that's why they're trying to actively replace us, get rid of us, because we want small government. We want freedom. I'm not saying other cultures don't want that too. There's lots of people from other races and cultures that want these things too, obviously. But generally, we're the ones that are going to be voting for a small government, because people can say, oh, well, we like conservatism too, and we like this, and we're immigrants. But hey, if you look at the voting patterns, you still vote for the left continuously, regardless of what you say. So, you know, we just got to go with the numbers here and be like, okay, and they know that too. That's why they're constantly trying to replace us. They know that white men vote for conservative leaning type government, smaller government, less intervention. So that's why they want to replace us, you know? But let's see here. They will run hide. No, I want pipelines as well. We need alternative energy. Yeah, you know, we do need alternative energy. And that's the thing. Like, you know, the government has been funding, like, who knows? Like, if it wasn't for all of this social planning that the government did, especially when it comes to energy, we probably have like some crazy shit right now. I'm not even joking. Like, what about like Tesla? Wasn't a lot of things he came up with like suppressed for so many years? You know, they suppress information all the time on behalf of certain people to make money and shit. Like, you know, they withhold human progress all the time. And, you know, like the Greeks had the steam engine years and years and years ago. But guess what? They had slavery. So they had no incentive to develop the steam engine more, because they had a lot of cheap labor laying around, easily able to grab up and make them plow the fields, instead of being like, okay, we don't have cheap labor that we can just force to pick our fucking fields. What are we going to do? You know, the way we invent things is when we are put in like a hard situation, a predicament. That is when we come up with things. That is when we, you know, innovate. Come up, oh, okay, let's use this thing to plow the fields, and now we can do it 10 times faster. We can feed 100,000 times more people, right? It's like, you know, it's great. You know, it's great. Capitalism, freedom, it's a great thing. How can you be against it? You know, I don't understand it. And people can laugh all they want, but it's like, how can you be against freedom? Because that's what capitalism is. That's what it is. It's freedom. That's what it is. So make your arguments against freedom all you want, but you know, just know that is what you're arguing against. You're arguing for restrictions on people's rights. You know, as long as somebody is not hurting you, is somebody not like impeding on your life in any way, you have no right to, you know, fuck them over, to hurt them, to do anything to them. So when people argue for this and that system, whatnot, you're just arguing for varying levels of forcing people to do what you want, right? At the end of a gun, that's all you're arguing for. So varying levels of it. So, you know, I argue for freedom. That's what I think is the right way to go. And, you know, it's going to be hard. You know, I can compromise. I don't think we're going to live in a society tomorrow that's going to be free and shit. But like, yeah, let's try to move our way towards that. Let's try to do that if we can. But I'm going to read a couple of the questions here. So MT Cup, how's it going? White should own the racist moniker just as blacks have owned the N-word. Right. Yeah, you know, exactly. Right. It's kind of like I own the word racist. It's like I don't even argue with people who are like, you're a racist. I'm like, okay, so what? You know, if you think me caring about Canadians above other people is racist, then you're an idiot. Okay, you're dumb, and I don't even really care about talking to you. I don't care what your opinion is. Go over there. Go do something else. It doesn't bother me. Nabush, cherish the memories. Yeah. Hey, Nabush, fun fact. You know who got Tesla's papers and private writings? Trump's uncle, full circle. Look it up. Oh, that's pretty crazy. That is pretty interesting. Free markets with the nation is great, but the international capitalists will sell out local communities for profits. Well, that's the problem. Like, the thing is like, yes, businessmen, people will always try to get the best deal for its buck. And there's not a problem with capitalists and the free market. There's a problem with the government that is giving, like, because think about it. We're importing all of these immigrants on our dime to work for these companies or these refugees, and we're letting all these people in, for these companies on behalf of the government. And we're paying for their housing, like the taxpayers paying for their lodging, paying for the hotel rooms, paying for all this. So these businesses are getting a massive subsidy. So if there wasn't the government doing that, these businesses would have to pay for all that themselves, right? And at that point, it wouldn't be worth it. It would be more worth paying somebody in their own country than on your own dime, paying to import people into your own country, because then you got to do all your own vetting. You got to do all this, all this shit. So the expense would be way too high for them to do that. So it's not the capitalism's fault. It is the government that is forcing us to take and pay for these people to come here on behalf of businesses who then hire them for low wages. Whereas if these businesses wanted to do that, they would have to pay for all that shit. And they're not going to do that. They're not going to pay for a bunch of refugees to come. They're not going to build hotel rooms for the refugees, because by that time they may as well just pay the people that are living in that country, right? So it's because we're subsidizing this that they're able to do it. And, you got to understand, like, yeah, businesses aren't great. Businessmen will always try to fuck you, man. They always will. And that's the way business works. But don't make it easier for them with the helping hand of the government. That's pretty much what I'm against. Yes, we need alternative energy, but there's no reason why we should import Saudi oil. I completely agree. One of the world's, exactly, like, it's so crazy. I completely agree. We should stop buying Saudi oil immediately and start just, producing our own. We got tons of it in Alberta. All these pipelines have been stopped by Trudeau. We can be energy sufficient very easily, but it's, once again, the government coming in being like, well, you got to consult with Aboriginals now. And you know what that means? Consulting with Aboriginals means that how much money are you going to pay these people for them to let you go, to let you build this pipeline? That's what it means. Because this is what happened in Manitoba here. Our conservative premier came into office and he stopped this deal that the previous government had with this Métis Federation, that they promised that they weren't going to stop this energy project as long as we gave them $1 million every year for like 25 years, and then like a lump sum of like 60 million, right? And it's like we don't know what they're spending that money on. They don't tell us. There's no auditing whatsoever. So that's what, asking Aboriginals or talking to them really means, right? It doesn't mean literally sitting down and being, so can we please do this here? And just like, no, like that's not what happens. Then they complain like, they didn't really talk to us enough. It's like, that just means we didn't give them enough money, right? And then these people that get all this taxpayer money go and then they buy into the pipelines. Like, there's some guy who's a native guy that all this money is coming primarily through the taxpayers, essentially, all this subsidization, and he's going and buying parts of that he's like, there's that native group trying to buy the fucking pipeline right after there's all these other natives that are paid by the Tide Foundation in America that is funded by George Soros to protest our energy industries. And this is all on behalf of Saudi Arabia and all of these third world countries that produce dirty energy. So it's like, you got all these stupid fucking liberal idiots that are like, oh, dirty, we need to stop pollution. And it's like, they don't think. It's like, they're still going to produce this shit in other countries, and we're still buying it from Saudi Arabia, and they fucking, everybody's like, blah, the journalist, blah, 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 but we're still buying their shit. We're still selling them armored vehicles. We're still doing business with them. So it's like, you know, your concern, your virtue signaling falls on deaf ears, because, you know, anybody with two brain cells can rub together can tell that you're all just full of fucking shit. But, you know, everybody else is unfortunately fooled by you. And, you know, I think primarily that's because people don't pay attention to the news that much anymore. They're too focused on their own day-to-day life. They pay attention to the news sparingly. And, you know, yeah, and the media knows that. So that's why they're constantly like always propaganda, always bullshit, because even if you tune in for a second, then, you know, they want to catch you, right? But let's see here. This is Matthew V. Todd. Which talk show host irritates you the most? Kimmel, Trevor, Colbert, etc. I don't know. That's a tough fucking choice, man. I think Kimmel is probably the worst, because he like cried on air multiple times trying to you know, over that healthcare thing, using his dead or his little baby as like, oh, my baby, oh, kids are gonna lose their healthcare, and Trump takes this away, and oh, he's just tearing up, and there was some other thing. It's like, man, what the fuck? Like, you used to be okay on the Man Show, you used to be funny, and then something happened to you, and you turn into a huge fucking sellout. While Adam Carolla is like the complete opposite. It's like, what the fuck, man? It's like, so you can clear, like, if these guys were friends, clearly everything that Kimmel is saying, he's just saying it. He doesn't believe any of it. So that's even worse, right? You know, it's not as bad when you believe all that shit. Like, if you're a diehard socialist, you legitimately think that, then it's like, okay. But if you knowingly, you know what you're saying is bullshit, you know, then that just makes you so much worse. But let's see here. Oh, I missed a lot of the chat. Kind of went pretty quick. Which talk show host? Okay, there's Nibush again. Next time I'm in town, yeah, man, let's hang out. I'm on my 29th account. 29th account. Yeah, man, you got to make me one, because I do not know what to do, and I'm just too lazy, right? I'm too lazy to go and look it up and do it. So, you know, I'm like, fuck it. She apparently liked his hair too. Got too loose, racist Puma cap, though, such a Canuck hoser. Oh, thanks. I'm glad she liked my hair too. But I'll wait the Canadian chat. So what? Anything else new, you guys? This has already been an hour. Holy shit. Been going on for a little while. I love you, Jerry. Yeah, but, you know, I saw this other thing earlier, and it was the replacement migration. And this was written in 1995 and by the UN. And is it a solution to declining aging populations? So focusing on these two striking and critical trends, the present study addresses the question of whether replacement migration is a solution to population decline and population aging. Replacement migration refers to the international migration that would be needed to offset declines in the size of population and declines in the population of working age, as well as the offset the overall aging of the population. So it's like, you know, they're like, we need this international migration, right? Not immigration. You know, we need all this migration that's going to be needed to offset. And are like, look at 8 countries and 2 regions that are treated individual countries have been selected for this study. All of them are relatively large countries that have below replacement fertility. The countries are France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Russia, United Kingdom, Britain, Northern Ireland, United States of America, Europe, and European Union. Through the technique of population projection, calculations are made of the amount of replacement migration that would be necessary for each of the 8 countries and 2 regions to offset the expected declines in the size of total population and working age population, as well as to offset the overall aging population. So he's like, therefore, among the demographic variables, only international migration could be instrumental in addressing population decline and population aging in the short and medium term. So it's like they just want to fix it in the short and medium term, right? And we don't even need to really fix our populations declining as long as they're not declining below replacement levels. So yeah, get rid of all the propaganda and feminism, and that should fix itself pretty easily. And get rid of socialism so people can keep more of their money. As noted above, the most likely changes in fertility and mortality rates for Europe and Japan are unlikely to counter population decline. So, you know, they're pretty much talking this whole study about how, you know, there's a bunch of countries and other regions that are having a huge increase of population, and how they're just going to use these people to come and replace us. And the whole reasoning behind this study is like, in order to keep the same level of social safety net that we have, right? They're like, well, if we don't bring in all these hundreds of millions of migrants, then we're going to have to raise the retirement age to 69, or we're going to have to raise it to 77 or something like that. Or you can bring in all of these people. So, you know, that's kind of an example of how the boomers, because a lot of boomers bought that argument, right? It's because they want their pensions, they want their fucking health care, they want all this shit in their old age that they didn't save up for and spend themselves. And all, you know, the government did promise them all of these things, but that's why you can't take them for their word, because they say, oh, we're going to take care of your old age, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but they don't. They run out of money, and then you get screwed over. But what exactly was I saying there? Like, I completely lost my train of thought. I'm telling you the truth right there. Hey, Kelly, how's it going? I saw that stream. The whole full stream is actually a really good one. I was thinking of maybe even doing a video about it, because I was just like astounded of how like shittily Canadians are treated compared to like the refugees and shit that are coming across the border and shit illegally. Like the way BC Barbie and stuff has to struggle. I'm just listening to that. I'm just like, oh my God, man. Like just how people don't give a shit, and they want to pretend like they care by letting in other people that just, you know, are not going to, you know, contribute to the society. Yeah, it really is. Oh, right. That's what I was saying. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, boomer. Yeah, I'm not all boomers. Like, I'm not saying all boomers bought into that, but a lot of the things, a lot of reasons why they're okay, essentially not really making a big stink of it, is because they're like, well, in order to pay for the pensions, in order to pay for this, in order to pay for this, we got to increase immigration by this much every year. And, you know, then they're like, oh, if we don't do this, then we're going to have to raise the retirement age. And people are like, well, I don't want to raise the retirement age. Let's just import people. Let's just bring in more young people to work for me or whatever, right? I'm not saying all boomers are like that, but you know, we got to put blame where it's due. People voted for a lot of this shit. People voted for more socialism. I didn't vote for more socialism. I wasn't alive, right? I didn't vote for fucking, you know, like a lot of the shit that happened that led to the direction, to the destruction of our country to the way it is now. So, you know, people got to take ownership of what they did, of what they want, of the socialism that they want, you know, off the backs of other people, right? And like, you know, that is a part of it, right? And the thing is, it's like, we don't need to import all these other people. We could just reduce a lot of these socialist programs, replace it with the free market, and then we don't need to bring in other people. Then it's okay if our population numbers go down, because we don't need to pay for all these old people or some shit, right? That they keep making these arguments for. Like, that's the argument I always see. It's like, oh, well, if we don't bring in 350 million, and then Trudeau's like, well, we're doing this to stay competitive. And that's like, they did some economic comparison a little while ago between America and Canada, and they're like, the only reason Canada is kind of keeping up step with America right now is because they're importing massive amounts of people, right? And because they're like the human capital, the human aspect of it. And it's like, so like the average layman looks at that and like, wow, our GDP is growing because we're just importing tons of people. It's like, a GDP is not a good measure on how good your population is doing. Yes, some businesses are making a lot of money, so the GDP is going to go up because they're hiring a bunch of cheap fucking labor and doing this and that. But that doesn't mean it's good for everybody. It doesn't mean everybody's wages are going up. As we see, there's all this immigration, yet we still need 2 people to buy a home now, as opposed to 1 in the past. Our money is devalued. Our wages are stagnant on the sector, but our GDP keeps going up every year. But we keep making lots of money in our GDP, so it's like, no, that's not a good. That's not a good measure. Not a good measure. Can tell you some things, but not much. But Japan has declining population. They're coming up with inventive ways to compensate and offset it. Impressive, worth a look. Yeah, exactly. Jerry, Tommy, Mick, Canuck. They're coming up with robots to take care of, and that's the way to do it. Instead of like what other countries are doing what we're doing. It's only us. It's only us that are importing all these other people. You know why? Because China doesn't need to, because they have a subservient population already. Right? They're people are going to listen to their government anyways. They don't need to import a subservient type of people, right? And let's face it, yeah, white people, they're less subservient, right? Like people, the Asians, they got such high IQs and all this stuff, right? But like, yeah, but they all look down and like they're all very subservient culture. They don't step out of the box. And this is why Western culture is the ones that came up with everything, because we opposed authority, because we wanted freedom, because we wanted the free market, not because, the China begrudgingly made parts of their economy more free because they were going into the shitter, right? They begrudgingly did that. And now they're going back by making their leader into now he's a fucking dictator. They just remade him into a dictator. And now there's this one guy I watch. He's called Spectre something. He lives in China. He's got a couple 100,000 followers, but he was going around China and you see all these, how they like, first of all, he was saying that the propaganda in China has increased dramatically lately. And he's some guy, he's from South Africa. He's some white guy. He's like, I don't really feel as more comfortable. And he's been living in China for like, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I can't remember his name. I think it was Spectre, but let me try to see if I can find it and I'll put the link below. But yeah, like, China is just totally fucked. And yeah, it's getting more and more propagandistic or whatever, like more propaganda around. Sorry, I'm just kind of losing my train of thought here because I'm looking for this. But he had another cool video where he was driving around China and looking at all of the buildings and how everything is like literally falling apart. How like they don't take care of anything in China. And it's like, because the government owns everything. So when you own everything, when the government owns everything, nobody takes ownership of it. So nobody wants to go and repair it. Nobody wants to go and do anything about it. Like they were telling the story of this lady or something, I think it was him, but they had like a light bulb and it wasn't changed in the elevator for like 7 years because nobody wanted to change it. Nobody owned it. Nobody wanted to spend $5 to go and buy the own light bulb to replace it. So it's like, their culture, people always be like, oh, China is doing great. No, like they're going to go to shit eventually. It's a matter of time. And because they don't want to be free, they don't want to actually have real capitalism. But I don't know, I can't find it right now. I'll put it in the link below, but it's pretty interesting. He's got an interesting different type channel. It's like him and his buddy, they're driving around China and stuff, and just there's lots of things in different cultures though too. Don't get me wrong, like there's lots of things to praise and to look at China and be like, wow, they do that right, or Japan, or even some Muslim cultures, and some people in the Middle East and places in Africa and stuff. We can learn lots from different cultures and different ways of doing things, but I'm not saying we need to discount everything they do and they do everything's wrong and we can't learn anything or whatever from different cultures and stuff. That's not what I'm saying, because we can, but it's we gotta remember that our culture is still the best when it comes to freedom, when it comes to productivity, when it comes to wealth generation, when it comes to just overall happiness. Like obviously now, if you look at our culture, it's not really, it's not a good example, right? Because it's been totally fucked for generations, for decades, because of the government and its mass, and how big it's gotten, how it's gotten every aspect of our lives. So it's AD China. I think that's what it is. I think that is, but ADV, but I think that's one guy, but he might have a friend named like Spectre or Spectrum or something. I can't really remember, but I think you are right. But I lost my train of thought there again. But yeah, Muslims took 700 years after Muhammad said take Constantinople. Yeah, it's once we get overtaken, it's gonna be really hard to fucking do anything about it after that. Proud of your boy. Hey, Fox. So let's see here in the chat. I don't know, you guys got any more questions? I might wrap it up in a little bit, but unless you got some more you guys want to talk about quickly. What else was going on here? Mount for Trump re-election bid. Yeah, there was some liberal MP today that was like Raj Grewal. He resigned to deal with gambling problems, PMO says. Oh yeah, that's something I want to talk about too. It's like, it's funny how there's all of this craziness around, like, a couple conservatives like in Ford's government and stuff stepping down because of like, he sent some messages to some girl or some inappropriate messages, or sent like a picture or something. But I'm like, there's all of the media covering it left, right, and center, releasing all these stories. But when it comes to Trudeau, everybody's still silent, right? That's why it really annoys me with fucking Scheer, because he has all these opportunities, especially when he's being interviewed about his own people doing shit. He can come back and be like, well, what about Trudeau? What about him actually groping a woman? But he's not going to say that, because both parties are full of fucking scumbags that are probably both full of degenerates that grope up women, as we see in like America, but like both parties are full of degenerates. So, that's why, generally like Maxime Bernier, new party, there'd be less chance of that, right? But it's like, even then, it's like, they just want to protect their own people there a lot of the times. You called me a jackass? Kelly, is that what you did? Call me a jackass? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I read that right. Hi, gay. Hey, Luke, how's it going? And what's slavery? McSlaverson. I like your name, though. That's E Sharp. I didn't say hi to you earlier. And Rainy Steps. How's it going? Sam Lugwit. Countries because we put freedom and profits. Oh, the end all. No, we're not the happiest country anymore. It's not because of capitalism and because we have lost our sense of community, right? That is one of the reasons why we are no longer happy. Mainly also, yeah, it's Sir Penza. That's the one. But, there are many reasons why we are not content like we used to. And none of it has to necessarily do with capitalism, with voluntarily transactions and stuff. Like, nothing has to do with that. It has to do with the breakdown of the family. You know, as we see, you know, people are growing up more and more in single mother households. You know, that's going to have an effect on you. Like, you know, like we don't interact. Our communities in Canada, in Western countries, are more multicultural now. So like I said, that reduces the amount that people actually go out and interact with their community and do anything. There's so much propaganda, especially directed towards us in Western countries. There's the feminism that tries to make men non-masculine anymore, so that makes them more depressed. We're not doing masculine things. We're not going out and in nature fucking, you know, accomplishing things, doing anything like that. Like, you know, and then women, their depression is going up because they're working longer, not having kids, not being in a stable relationship, going around having sex with all these different partners. And that has to do with like feminism. That's to do with the welfare state that allows women to go and be irresponsible, get pregnant, and get paid by the government to do it. It's the incentives in society that we have in place that makes it so, yeah, men can go and fuck as many women as they want, fuck off, and be a deadbeat dad, and you know, the government is just going to come in and take care of them. So this is what is promoting degeneracy in society. It's not the free market. It's, yes, people are going to be greedy. They're going to want a lot of things, but you know, it's the system we have now is what is really promoting a lot of this stuff. It's the educational systems that are forced to put your kids into that are propagandizing their youngs. It's your universities that your taxpayers are paying into that are teaching your kids to be little left-wing fucking warriors and shit. It's not capitalism. It's people stealing your money and forcefully distributing it among other people that are degenerate, so then it breeds more degenerate people. Because what do you think? Like, you know, you give mother to a single mother that has like 5 fucking kids, just like my brother. Like I got a perfect example is my fucking family. My oldest brother, he married some random girl that has, or didn't marry, had a kid with this random girl that has a kid from a different dude, from like 5 different dudes. They're all different. They're all like, one kid's like part Asian, one's black, one's this, one's that, one's native, one's that, you know. It's like, and we're rewarding that behavior. You know, that has nothing to do with the free market. In the free market, free society, there wouldn't be a safety net that would allow this person to keep breeding, keep having kids, because now they're going to grow up with a dysfunctional mother. Maybe they're going to be in and out of foster care system. Now they're all going to be fucked up kids, and kids that are in single mother households, they're like 30 times more likely to be abused. And, you know, this is one of the reasons why society is fucked, because we're not allowed to do anything about abused children as well. And this is why society in the past was really fucked too, because, if you beat your kids, if you do horrible things to them, they're going to grow up to be horrible people. You know, if you look at all the people that were sexually abused and stuff, and that, like, they become criminals or they become gay or trans or some shit, right? Like, that's why pedophiles and stuff get killed in prison, because 85% of inmates, or a lot, like a high percentage of them, were sexually abused as kids. So it's a huge cycle that we are funding in society, that we're making this worse. It has nothing to do with the free market. It has nothing to do with capitalism. It has everything to do with the government making laws that put people away in prison for non-violent crimes, like smoking weed, like doing this, like all this crazy shit that we get put away for, that's destroying families. It's, like I said, the welfare state that is giving money for people to have kids out of wedlock, because women, even a child tax credit thing, if you're not married, you get more money, right? If you don't have a spouse, if you're married, you get less money. So this literally incentivizes people not to get married, not to have a strong foundation. And then their kids run wild and we're like, oh, that's capitalism's fault. It's that. It's like, no, it's all of the things that have been going on for so many years that we have been giving our money to, that were, or it's been forcefully taken from us to fund, right? So there's so much wrong with society right now. One of the biggest ills, one of the biggest things comes to children. And, you know, if we can treat kids right, not abuse them, like, then society will progress better, right? You know, look at all of these. Look at that school, Saint Michael something, where all these teachers are stepping down now because they essentially looked the other way. One guy, he said he would do it again because he said that he didn't contact the police because the kid didn't tell his parents yet about it. And he's like, I would do it again. Are you kidding me? So you didn't tell the parents that some kid got raped by a fucking stick because he didn't tell his parent, or you didn't tell the police because he didn't tell his parents yet? You're a fucking piece of shit human being. And it's these people that look the other way when kids get abused. And that's the thing. Like, it constantly happens and we can step in and stop it. But a lot of times people look the other way and those kids grow up to be fucked up people and the cycle continues, right? You know, there was like that coach that was fucking all those students that were like in the wrestling thing, those boys. Like, there was teachers that came in, walked in, saw, and just turned around and walked the other way and just pretend like it didn't happen, right? It's these unions that protect these fucking teachers a lot of the times too. There's, oh, just step down. Oh, we'll move you here. We'll move you here. Oh, you abused all these kids. Oh, we'll just bring you in this school instead. Oh, like, you know, like the fucking church and shit, they moved this one guy to like this thing with all these deaf and blind kids, and he like abused all of them, you know, like nobody says anything. And it's disgusting, it's horrible, and it really makes me think, why the fuck do these people only get so few years in prison? Why is it 2, 3, 4 years and then they're sent back into the fucking public, right? Like in America, in some places in Canada, they don't even tell you when they put these fucking pedophiles back in your community. There was one guy, they put a pedophile right next to him. He lived somewhere in like Alabama or something. And then, you know, this guy, nobody knew. This guy came and like fucking took his daughter, killed her. You know, like this happens all the time. There was another thing where they put all these pedos into some rooming board. They didn't tell the community. Then they eventually got some girl, killed her and raped her. Like, you know, it's insanity. If you touch children in any way, you need to be like, I don't want to say anything because I fucking ruin, like, you know, get my channel removed or something. But like, you know what should happen to you, you know. And you know, if you're that type of person, I'm not saying like, you know, if anybody has a thought and they've never acted on it, we need to kill those people, or we need to do anything to those people too. But like, you know, something really need to be done about that. That in my opinion, is one of the main things as to why society is so fucked right now. Like, look at Hollywood. Why is it so degenerate? It's because they abuse all those kids, were like raped. Look, fucking, there's like that guy who came out and said he was gay. What's his name? Who's like, as an excuse, you know, he abused a bunch of fucking boys, and people, everybody, they don't know about it. They don't know about this shit, but they keep it silent. They look the other way. And, you know, we all have to pay the consequences for this stuff later on in society. So, you know, there's lots of wrongs. Kevin Spacey, yeah, you know, there's lots of wrong, and sure, you know, nothing's perfect. Capitalism and free society, freedom isn't perfect, right? In a free society, there's going to be bad things that happen. There's going to be bad people. There's going to be deaths. There's going to be things that are going on, but there's things that go on in our society right now that are bad and that you have no control over, and that you could have control over if it was a free society. You wouldn't have all your money stolen from you to go spend to increase the military industrial complex to go and invade countries, right? Like Trudeau just increased the deficit by another $1 billion. So it's like, now it was going to be 18 billion. Now it's 19 billion. And that's the deficit. Okay, that's way worse than just the debt. The debt is something like, I don't know, much higher. It's like 400 some million, and they were projecting it to be like, I don't know, somewhere in the trillions in the future. So it's like they have no intention of stopping to spend. They're just going to keep kicking the can down the road until we all get left with the bill eventually. And you know, when it goes to shit, then they'll blame capitalism. It'll be like, see, we need more authoritarianism. We need more control. And then this won't happen again. That's what they did after the 2008 crisis. They're like, oh, it's because there wasn't enough regulations. It's like, no, you guys are the ones that incentivized businesses to give these like shitty loans to black and brown people to make sure that they all have homes. There's like quotas these people would have to fill every day to get people homes and shit. They didn't even care. They were told like just to, you know, even if they had no credit, just to push it through, to give it to them no matter what, give them like a 3% down payment on a house. Like, you know, and then all those people later on bet that these things would fail. And that wouldn't have happened without the government intervention. So they're the ones that created the fucking 2008 crisis. They're the ones that are going to create the ones in the future. And they're just going to make it worse afterwards. But, you know, I got on kind of a rant there. I saw the bit. He's a leftist. His whole worldview is emotional. Collapsing society over a president seems irrational. Our problems are much deeper than one or two presidents. Who I'm not sure you're talking about there. It's not the government. It's the Enlightenment, classical liberalism. Where do you think all these ideas, rights are what? Okay, what? It's not the government. It's this Enlightenment, classical liberalism. I don't know if you're joking or something. I'm not sure. Because like rights are a good thing, right? And obviously there's a lot of like, you know, people are like, healthcare is a right. This is a right. No, these are not rights. Okay, like the only things that are really rights are things that don't take other people, don't require you forcing other people to give you shit, right? So I can defend myself, right? That's a right. I have the right to pursue happiness, you know, and try to work and do a job that's, you know, I can go around and move around the place, right? You know, you have very few rights. Like these rights weren't just, they didn't come up with them irrationally, right? It's like the basic same rights that animals can kind of internalize themselves. You know, the bear goes into a cave and other animals go and they're like, oh, okay, that's the bear's cave. You know, that's his, and he will defend that cave. He has a right to defend that cave. It's his cave. You know, we all understand that the bear owns that cave. He's sleeping in it. You know, there's no right to health care. There's no right to housing because you need somebody to literally build you a house. You need somebody to, you know, take your blood. So this requires force, right? So you know, if you say it's a right, then you're going to be forcing people to give you these things. But nobody can force you to defend yourself, right? You know, you just defend yourself. You know, they don't need to force you to do it. Rights has led us here. No, it hasn't. It hasn't led us here. You know, I can't. I'm sorry. I just can't deal with the alt-right arguments with, you know, the liberalism and stuff like